discussing together, learning together, and that's a very effective way of learning chemical engineering. And we support all this through high quality booklets. These have most of the notes in them, but there's blank spaces for you to write in because that's a very effective way of supporting your learning. We have industry visits. This is Syngenta, who are just down the road from us in Huddersfield. They are strong supporters of us, and they and speakers from other industrial companies also come and speak on our program and support it. We have labs, of course. We have an excellent chemical engineering teaching lab, as well as chemistry labs and other labs as well. But this is our very large chemical engineering teaching lab, which includes large-scale equipment like the cooling tower on the left here, the distillation unit on the right here, and going up to even larger, our bioethanol plant. We also do research. We are all research active, and that informs our undergraduate teaching as well. This is the first bioethanol that we ever produced from our bioethanol plant at 89% purity. And here's Mohammed from my research group showing some material that he had produced using our bioethanol plant. And here's just a photo of our graduates from a couple of years ago, and a list of some of the companies that our graduates have gone to work with in proper chemical engineering jobs, including Syngenta, but also Tata Steel, the National Nuclear Laboratory, Halliburton over in the United States, pharmaceuticals, and so on. We are accredited, of course, and the Chemical Engineer magazine, reported this a couple of years ago. I have said that our teaching is excellent, and I've said, it's easy for me to say that, but nevertheless, I hope that I've given you evidence that claim is true. But this is what independent people came and said about us when they came to accredit our program. The report noted key features of the curriculum are a strong emphasis on chemistry, the integrated delivery of mathematics concepts within relevant chemical engineering modules. They liked the way that we taught the maths. Deliberate approach for the delivery of hands-on practical skills. They liked the fact that there was a lot of practical lab work in our program, including exposure to large-scale equipment. The support and opportunities in place to ensure the students have a great experience during their time in Huddersfield are outstanding. That's what IChemE concluded. So with that, why might you choose to study chemical engineering in Huddersfield? Because we do have excellent teaching and we're very proud of that. We have a well-designed, coherent program that has been well thought through and that has been recognized through the IChemE medal. Excellent lab facilities, strong industrial links, excellent employment prospects, a great university in a beautiful town. Huddersfield is a lovely town in the north of England, and because chemical engineering is a fantastic and versatile education. So thank you very much for your attention, and I'm not quite sure what's happening now, but if there's any questions or if there's time to take questions, I'd be very happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much, sir. It was indeed motivating and extremely informative for us. We are so honored and privileged to have you amongst us as team dignitaries whom we like to appreciate. So for questions, I will tell students to hold on till the end. At the end, I'm going to tell students to ask a lot of questions from you so that they have all the complete information and then they can actually ask.
That's a good idea. Excellent.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir, for your wonderful motivational session and informative session. Let's have, we are honored to have,
welcome.
Yeah, thank you, sir. We are honored to have Professor Paul Ielts, and we are extremely happy to welcome you, sir. To give you a brief, Professor Paul Ielts is MBBS, PhD, FMEds, Sci, trained in clinical medicine and epidemiology as Wellcome Trust Clinical Fellow at St. Mary's Hospital, London, and the
I
London
think you've
School
got
of
the
Hygiene
wrong
and Clinical.
you've got the wrong biography there. That's not me.
Second, sir. Just give me a second.
You've got the Paul Elliott, who's in Imperial College, who's one of the UK's leading
Okay.
COVID
I'm really
experts.
sorry, sir. I'm really sorry. Okay, let me reframe it. Okay, Professor Paul Elliott is Associate Dean International for the School of Applied Sciences at the University of Huddersfield and carries out research on the photophysics and photochemistry of transition metal complexes along with their biological and materials chemistry applications. Having obtained his first-class degree from University of York and his PhD at the University of Sheffield, he joined the University of Huddersfield in 2007, rising through the ranks to his current role and also the director of the Center of Functional Material. I'm really very sorry for that, sir, but I guess now I am right.
Yeah, indeed. Yes,
Yeah.
that's a common thing that happens because the other Paul Elliott is very famous and on national news quite a lot of the time because
So
of the
do you
COVID
are,
pandemic.
sir. So do you are. We are very much honored to have you. I would request you to come on stage and address the audience. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And I would like to thank Grant Campbell, who preceded me. And just to say that it was a fantastic talk. I know many of your chemical engineering students will be looking forward to their future careers and the world of work. And from Grant Campbell's talk, it was certainly very inspiring in terms of a future career point of view. And in some ways made me think, why didn't I do a chemical engineering degree instead of a chemistry degree? But chemistry degrees are equally versatile. You can use chemistry degrees across a whole set of industries. And indeed, chemistry and chemical engineering go hand in hand. And graduates from these programs seldom find themselves without work. So hopefully you can see my slides. So what I'm going to talk about is more chemistry focused. I am an inorganic chemist. My expertise is in the photochemistry and photophysics of transition metal compounds. And I am Associate Dean for International in the School of Applied Sciences. And as Grant said, Huddersfield is a beautiful town, and this is a photograph across the university campus and off into the countryside in the distance. And this is the tower, the castle that Grant took his group to, and they had their photographs just about this point here. So it's a very beautiful town and university in the north of England, set in some of the UK's best countryside. And this is the aerial picture of the university, and it's a little bit out of date. Google Earth seems to be a little bit behind by about 2 to 3 years, I think, 3 years at the very least. So this is the university campus within Huddersfield, and Applied Sciences, where we work, is in these buildings here. So we form part of the bedrock of the university, and what's missing from this photograph is our brand new laboratory building that sits in this space here. And the university is founded upon local industry for the manufacture of wool and fabrics, and on that basis required teaching in mechanical engineering for looms, but also chemistry for dye stuffs and chemical engineering. So these subjects form the basis and bedrock of the university, and we've been teaching these subjects from about the 1840s. So we're an old institution and have evolved through many forms to our current position. But our Applied Sciences is here where myself and Professor Grant Campbell work. So at School of Applied Sciences, just to give you a feel of us, we have a Department of Chemical Sciences, of which myself and Grant are both members, that teach chemistry and chemical engineering. But this shows the multidisciplinarity that Grant in some ways alluded to in terms of the where students go to, where the industries we work with. We also do pharmaceutical chemistry, analytical chemistry, and forensics. And we also have departments of biology and geographical sciences, pharmacy, and optometry in our School of Applied Sciences. And we're a very multinational environment. Last count, we had students from over 50 nationalities, including India, as well as staff from over 16 different nationalities. So we are a genuinely international community. And the university itself is international, with students from over 120 different nationalities. And our estate, as I said with that map, has recently undergone some changes. We've recently undergone a major refurbishment of our school, and this building here contains our chemical engineering laboratory that Professor Campbell showed the photographs of the inside of. But we also have a brand new teaching laboratory building with 4 floors of large teaching labs for undergraduate chemical sciences and biological sciences education, and each laboratory can take approximately 100 students at each time, and so we can teach up to 300 students across all 3 floors at any one time. And we have brand new lecture theatres, and our lecture theatres are equipped with the latest lecture capture technology. So you have to attend the lectures in order to be able to understand the material. But if there's anything that you didn't understand, our lectures are recorded so that you can go back and go over any of the lecture material that you had not quite understood at the time. And we also have an open door policy where you can make appointments with our academic staff. And if there are any things that you still don't understand, you can make appointments to come and see us, and we will happily go through the lecture material with you on a one-to-one basis. And so all of these investments, so it's a £31 million investment by the university in the Applied Sciences estate in order to give us some of the newest teaching facilities on campus. And you can convert that into rupees, and you'll kind of see how much of an investment and how much importance the university places on the sciences and chemical engineering at the University of Huddersfield. And we're very well equipped, and you may recognize some of these pieces of equipment. For a department of our size, we're very well equipped with 3 NMR spectrometers up to 600 megahertz and down to 300 megahertz. We have a very well-equipped chromatography laboratory with HPLC, GC, ion exchange chromatography, and other methods in there. And these really are the methods that students will be encountering on a day-to-day basis in industry. And our historic links with industry, teaching those on day release from industry over many, many years, is the main reason why we have one of the most well-equipped chromatography laboratories for undergraduate and postgraduate teaching of any chemistry department in the country. We're also well equipped for X-ray diffraction, for crystallography, for mass spectrometry, but also across the other subject areas, genetic analysis and pharmaceutics, and many more subject areas. And we have recently embarked as a school. The relationship between LPU and Huddersfield has been going for longer with the university as a whole, but for the School of Applied Sciences, we have recently validated a progression agreement for students for chemical engineering, as Grant has been alluding to. When they complete 2 years at LPU, they can come to progress into year 2 of our BEng chemical engineering program at the University of Huddersfield. And our original order was that Grant was going to talk after me, but Himani gave such a brilliant introduction to Grant that which I decided, well, we may as well just let Grant go first. But we're also partnering on chemistry. And after completing 2 years of the chemistry program at LPU, we also have opened up our BSc chemistry top-up program, which is effectively final year entry into our BSc chemistry program to LPU students who complete 2 years at LPU on their chemistry program. And on our chemistry program, you will cover advanced aspects of organic chemistry involving contemporary state-of-the-art methods for targeted synthesis and enantioselectivity for making chirally pure compounds, which is of course of utmost importance in the pharmaceuticals industry, as if molecules can be left-handed or right-handed, then after various tragedies, which I'm sure you're well aware of in the pharmaceuticals industry, if a molecule could be left-handed or right-handed, it needs to be made in the pure chiral form before it can be administered as a new pharmaceutical. In inorganic chemistry, you cover structural and coordination chemistry and some advanced organometallics, and also homogeneous catalysis, as well as some photochemistry and metallopharmaceuticals, the application of metal complexes in medicine. In physical chemistry, you study materials and interfaces and surfaces, and therefore heterogeneous catalysis. And you also take a trip from the quantum world to the macro level, involving an education in statistical thermodynamics. You can also take the analytical chemistry module and study advanced separation techniques and toxicological analysis. And there's a module on advanced practicals, as well as a research project, which is your major piece of work, where you will work with a member of our academic staff on an individual research project. And a lot of the rest of my talk is going to revolve around this idea of a research project. And this program, which has been designed for international students, for those whose first language is not English, we have a professional English module which you could do, which is aimed to prepare students for the university's aim of inspiring global professionals to go and work in the global workplace. So this is the top-up chemistry program, and which is essentially the final year of our BSc chemistry program at the University of Huddersfield. So I'm going to talk about final year projects most of all. So these are research projects, and you study with a member of academic staff on an individual research project. And many of our research projects offered by our academic staff are aligned along their research interests. All of our academic staff are research active, publishing at the forefront of their field. And we place an importance on involving our undergraduates in that activity. And so I have a couple of examples from across the department before I talk more about my own subject area. And Dr. Wesley Moran here, he's one of our organic chemists, and Conrad was an undergraduate student who worked with him for his project, and he got his work published in Organic Letters, which is one of the American Chemical Society's leading organic chemistry journals, on this kind of chemistry involving the generation of hypervalent iodine compounds. And if you think about the valency of iodine, as an iodide, you say that it would be -1, but there is great interest in the oxidized form of iodine-3 hypervalent iodine compounds for organic synthesis. And they looked at making these heterocyclic compounds involving an iodine-3 center, these hypervalent iodine-3 compounds, and made a wide range of these compounds, converting them into these vinyl iodide compounds, converting them into their cyclic iodine-3 forms, and have used these in a set of organic transformations for making acetylene compounds, alkynes from these compounds that are very useful organic precursors for a great many different pharmaceutically relevant organic transformations. And so that is one of the things that Wesley is very interested in, is using novel routes, novel organic reactions for providing the tools for organic chemists who can then use those tools for making useful compounds, such as from the pharmaceuticals to the materials arena. So there's a lot of work that Conrad did in getting this paper towards publication. So very well done for him. Related to chemical engineering, one of our academics, Dr. Chenyu Du from China, Sidra Munir and Rabio were two undergraduate students, and they helped him write a research-based book chapter on valorization of organic waste into biofertilizer. And they wrote this book with Dr. Chenyu Du, who is the world expert and world leader on bioprocessing and processing of organic waste and turning it into useful material. So I'm just going to switch presentations if you bear with me. And I'm going to now talk a little bit more about my area of chemistry. So I am an inorganic chemist. I do photophysics and photochemistry. And so this picture kind of sums up this. This is a photograph that I took in a darkened cupboard of some of our compounds with a blue laser. And you can see the luminescence from these compounds. So these are all rhenium-based compounds. And so if we look at the periodic table, then the part of the periodic table that I deal with is the D block here. And a lot of the chemistry that I deal with is down in this region down here. So elements like ruthenium, osmium, iridium, and rhenium, this region down here. But more recently, we've also been starting to do chemistry with luminescent compounds, with zirconium and chromium and lighter elements in the periodic tables. That's the kind of area of the periodic table I'm interested in. And so we look at light and its interaction with matter, and light, what you're seeing coming from the screen, so you can see this presentation. It is this is made at, the light that's coming at you is made out of particles of light, photons that are wave packets of oscillating magnetic and electric fields. And this visible light forms just a tiny part of the available electromagnetic spectrum that goes from the radio waves, where you may have been listening to the news this morning on the radio as you woke up, through to the television wavelengths, the microwave wavelengths that you may use to heat your food in a microwave oven, the infrared wavelengths that you feel heat with, the UV that can give us skin cancer and sunburn, X-rays, which we use for medicine, and gamma rays. And the visible spectrum is a tiny portion of that overall electromagnetic spectrum. But that is a very important part of the electromagnetic spectrum, and it's the one that we use and are most interested in my group. And so what happens, it's important to know what happens when a molecule absorbs light. And so within a molecule, you have the atoms and their nuclei surrounded by electrons, and those electrons sit at certain discrete energy levels. And so you have a whole set of energy levels that are filled up with electrons, and then you have a whole set of energy levels that are above that, which are empty. And when a molecule absorbs light, it promotes an electron to move from a filled orbital, an energy level, up to an empty energy level. And this gives us the colors that we see from a compound. So when you absorb that light is taken away, and if white light is shining on it, you see the result of the loss of that light. And this is a compound that is one of the most famous compounds, ruthenium tris bipyridyl, and is a standard compound for comparison in our group. And it's a bright red-orange compound. And this is the UV visible absorption spectrum here, with wavelength in nanometers, the strength of absorbance here. And our eyes cut off about here. We can't see this UV region, and this is the visible region here. And this absorption here in the blue and green parts of the spectrum is what gives this compound its characteristic orange and red color. But what's interesting about these kinds of compounds with a transition metal involving things like ruthenium and these big flat organic ligands, these pyridine-based aromatic ligands, what's interesting about these is what happens after they've absorbed light. So we describe the molecule when it's in the dark as having an overall energy that we call the ground state. And then this can absorb light and it promotes the entire molecule up to an excited state. So an electron has moved in energy, as we've discussed before. But what happens after that is that we get a slight reorganization and slight changes because electrons are the glue that holds molecules together. And if we rearrange the glue by moving those around, the molecule will like to relax, and it will relax to a lower energy configuration based on us rearranging that glue. And compounds like this are luminescent. They will go back down to the ground state by giving out another photon of light. And so we can go on to the next slide. This is the luminescent spectrum of the same compound. And here we have the amount of light that's coming out of the compound at different wavelengths and therefore different colors. And this peaks up here at about 620 nanometers and then tails off. And so it peaks around about here and the luminescence appears orange as a result. And so this is a brightly luminescent compound. So this is all very interesting. What can we potentially do with compounds based on this and its cousins? Well, we can get luminescent emission, and as I'll show you, we can use this for distinct practical applications. But there are things that I'm not going to talk about today that you can also use this for. You can use the energy stored in the excited state to drive chemical reactions. So you can do things like photoredox catalysis to drive useful chemical reactions for organic synthesis. You can use it to make solar fuels. You can use the energy to drive hydrogen production potentially to generate clean solar fuels. And one of the main challenges in the area is to try and make this efficient and scalable so that it is of practical use. And you can also use it to generate electricity. And these have been used, these types of compounds are used in disolar cells to turn visible light into electricity. But on that luminescent emission, luminescent transition metal compounds have been used as the luminescent phosphor in electronic display devices with some mobile phone and television screen manufacturers. So there has been an awful lot of interest over the last 2 decades or so in the use and development of transition metal luminescent compounds in the development of artificial lighting and electronic display phosphors. And one of the exciting things about these kind of compounds is that they can be used to try and make flexible and durable displays that you can't make from more conventional means with rigid glass substrates. So in our group, we take undergraduate project students every year, and a lot of the compounds that are used in applications for light emitting devices tend to incorporate iridium. These are often more tunable in terms of the emission color that you can get, and often more efficient in the luminescent emission in terms of how much light will come out of them based on the input of energy. And so I set some of my students in making a set of iridium compounds that are pictured here with varying ligands. And if we go down in this picture, we vary this ligand here, which is called a cyclometalating ligand because we have a metal carbon bond where we've broken a carbon hydrogen bond to form a cyclic ligand, and we fluorinate it and we change the end donor on this ligand. And going left to right in this series, we change what we call the ancillary ligand here that contains a pyridine or a pyrimidine or a pyrazine donor here. And by changing the ligand here and by changing the ligand here, what we're able to do is alter those energy levels that we talked about early on in terms of how far the electron has to jump, and we can make that bigger. We can therefore make the energy that is absorbed closer to the blue and the emission closer to the blue, or we can make it shrink and we can shift the energy that is absorbed and the energy that is emitted more towards the red. And these are brightly luminescent compounds. As you can see here, there's just a small residue on the inside of some vials that are excited with UV light, and you can see that they range from the blue to this is kind of an orangey red, but it's so bright it looks yellow. And this work was published last year, involving a number of people, but including several undergraduate students, including Luke, Adrian, and Daniel. And this work highlighted some very interesting fundamental photophysical properties involving the interplay between different types of excited state, and gave some insight into some photophysical properties that had intrigued the community that we were able to unearth and explain. So we've also looked at some osmium-based complexes, and these tend to give really deep red emission. And we were interested in these to look at the generation of light-emitting devices, and we worked with a research group in Spain to make these devices. And this is some of the output data, and we can see from the luminescent spectra from these devices here that they are luminescent beyond 700 nanometers. And so these are near infrared and deep red phosphors, and things that are near infrared emitters are potentially useful in telecommunications devices where near infrared light transmits well down the optical fibers. The unfortunate thing with this data is that these here represent some of our new compounds, and we can see that the efficiency dies off quite quickly within a number of hours from these devices. And we think that this is because these complexes crystallize in the active layer, and the active layer requires us to have a very uniform and inhomogeneous a homogeneous kind of mixture rather than a crystalline mixture. So, but we published this work anyway, and our student Daniel again got his name on another paper, and he's done very well for himself. He's just submitted his thesis, having gone to Grant Campbell's homeland of New Zealand to do his PhD at the University of Otago in Dunedin. So I'm just trying to highlight what our students have done and the achievements that they've got in managing to do work in their undergraduate career that has got them published papers. So some of these osmium complexes might not have been so good for device applications, but we also, as Himani hinted at in my introduction, have an interest in the use of these kind of complexes in biological applications. Sorry, there's another one here, a follow-up paper by another student, James Roberts, looking at fundamental processes in a different type of osmium complex. So James Roberts graduated 2 years ago. But we're also interested in biological and biomedical applications. And one area where luminescent compounds are attracting a lot of interest is in use in confocal imaging microscopy to target cancer cells and certain organelles within cancer cells. And these are 2 examples here in published work from one of my PhD students, Salem Omar, who's a Libyan student, involving the targeting of mitochondria in HeLa cancer cells and U2OS cancer cells. And here is another form of complex, and these complexes target the lysosomes in cancer cells. And we've published various parts of this work elsewhere, and some of our more recent work has been looking at the targeting of luminescent complexes towards microbial targets, not just cancer cells. And now there is a current trend in biological inorganic chemistry at looking at metal complexes for the targeting of bacteria, and specifically as antimicrobial agents against antibiotic resistant bacteria. And this is a major problem in society at the moment. The overuse of antibiotics, the fact that antibiotics can in many places be bought over the counter. In the UK, you have to have them prescribed by a doctor. This has led to antibiotic resistance. And in one of our sets of complexes, it's actually the complex on this previous paper we've looked at again in bacteria, shows distinct activity against one of the most aggressive forms of antibiotic resistant Staphylococcus aureus bacteria. And we did a good study with our colleagues at the University of Sheffield with super resolution imaging of these complexes that showed DNA staining and targeting of the by these complexes. So what I hope I have showed you is some of the exciting things that our students are able to get involved in Huddersfield, where they can make real-world impact. Their research projects being aligned to the research activity of staff can get their name on papers, and they can make real contributions to the university's research output, and great contributions to their CVs as they go off into the big wide world afterwards, going for a PhD or going to work in industry. These things are useful to have. So with that, my presentation has come to an end. And so I will hand back to Himani so she can introduce the next of our speakers from Huddersfield.
I hope this time I will be right. Thank you, Professor. Thank you, Professor, for indeed a motivating session for all of us and very informative. A lot of interesting things you do, I must say that. We are so honored and privileged to have you amongst us. Thank you so much, sir, being here. We are honored to have Miss Margarita along with Miss Anna Bashir. We are very happy to welcome you both. Let me give you a brief about both. Miss Margarita is working as International Officer, South and Southeast Asia in the University of Huddersfield with CIM Diploma from Chartered Institute of Marketing. Let me tell you about Anna Bashir. Miss Anna Bashir is working as Regional Director India for the University of Huddersfield. She's a graduate LLB student from the same university and joined Huddersfield in 2016. I would welcome you both. Now the stage is yours. Thank you so much. You can address the session. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hi, Himani. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, so I will share a small presentation, and Anna and I will both kind of we want to engage with the students and have a chat as well if they have any questions at the end. So thank you. I'm just going to share my screen, so if you just give me a minute. Great. So can you see my screen?
Yeah. Yes.
Great, thank you. Let me just make it bigger. Right, so thanks very much for the introduction. So I'm Margarita McMullen. I'm from the International Office, so I look after the students coming from around South Asia, Southeast Asia. I'm also an alumni, just like Anna as well. So we both studied here many years ago, and we graduated from Huddersfield. So everything that we're going to tell you today, it's pretty much our own experience as well. So that's why I said if you have any questions, we personally know the university very well. So Huddersfield is a TEF Gold University. For those of you who don't know much about the UK and the kind of the ranking of the university, this is a government award that came a few years ago, and they have put 3 different categories: silver, bronze, and gold. So depending on how good the teaching quality is, and Huddersfield managed to get the gold, which is the highest one that you can get. Now, some examples may include the placements that we have got. All undergraduate programs have a placement involved, and this is something that you can choose to do. So if you were to come for year 2, in year 3, you could choose to do a placement. So before you come, you can let us know, if you would prefer to do the placement, because it means that you can stay in the UK for longer. So if you're coming for year 2, you will do year 2 normal study, year 3 placement, year 4 would be your final year. And you have the choice. You don't have to do it, but it is suggested that you do it if you want to work in the industry. And we have got placement units that can help you do that. If you're not sure where Huddersfield is, we are based in the middle, right in the middle of the UK. When you see the map here, we're right next to Leeds and Manchester. These are really big cities. You probably have heard of some of these. We're only 20 minutes from Leeds on the train, 30 minutes to Manchester. So we're very close to these big cities. You might have family or friends also who have studied here or who have come here. And the nice thing about Huddersfield is that because it's not in a big city, because it's not located in a big town, it's a small town, it's a very, near the countryside, we actually charge students a lot less in terms of the living costs or the accommodation or even the tuition fees. If you look at other universities may have higher tuition fees for chemistry. So we're in a good position in a way that we can, we are less, we're a lot cheaper than bigger cities. This is just a few photos of the town center, which is right next to the university as well. So the university is based on the town center, and everything around it is accommodation and student life related kind of areas where you've got bars and you've got restaurants and clothes where you can buy clothes, like shops. So there's a lot of different things around the area. And there's a lot of Asian students as well. So we've got a lot of Asian shops. So if you're missing home or feeling like you need to buy food, there's a lot of different cuisines here that you can try, as well as from India. So a lot of students feel like they're at home when they're here. Student life. So we've got a lot of students from India. So Anna, I don't know if you want to maybe just share some information about how many students we have, what kind of events we do, because you were here as well. So you managed to, get all this experience yourself. So you might want to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. So, well, it's a huge campus, and I think nearly 24,000 students in the whole campus. And out of that, I think we've got Indian students in thousands. And recently, from past 2 to 3 years, every year, we are recruiting nearly 300 Indian students every year. And I'd also like to share some, great success stories from the Indian students. I would start with the University of Huddersfield India office. Recently, we recruited 2 graduates from the university as admission advisors working for University of Huddersfield. And then we also have, I forgot the name, Margarita, if you can remember that name, who's got that full-time job in Airbus. I forgot the name. Sushmita.
Yeah.
Sushmita, and then we also do, we also have another student, very recent graduate from the health department. I know her personally because I was involved in recruiting these students. She's got full-time job under tier 2 sponsorship working under podiatric surgeon in Northampton or somewhere. I again forgot the name. I think, okay, whatever the name is, but these are few very recent ones. Apart from there are other successful stories, but then I've only shared the very recent ones and the ones I'm aware of. I could just remember. And we also do a lot of festivals on campus, and then major role is from the Indian society as well. We do food festival where we set up all other nationality tables and also the India table. We celebrate Diwali, we celebrate Holi, we celebrate all this on campus, which are Indian cultures and famous in India as well. So you do feel like home once you're there. And Indian society is one of the biggest societies on campus now. And you will find a lot of help because of the society and because of the other students around there. So there's always help there for accommodation or for any part-time work you're looking for, or any cultural activities you want to participate. So there's a lot you can learn and you can experience. You're not when you're coming to Huddersfield, don't think you're only coming to do your degree. You're also coming to develop in your personality, and there's a lot more you will learn.
Yeah, and if you want to get in touch as well, we have the Student Society. So if you go, for example, to Facebook or on Instagram, you can search, if you put the two words together, Huddersfield and India, the societies will come up and you can see what kind of things they've been doing this year. Even in lockdown, they've been doing quite a lot of events, and they were engaging with all the students, not just with themselves.
Music workshops and the cooking workshops, all of that. I keep seeing that almost every other day on Facebook.
Yeah, there's always something happening with the Indian society. It is the biggest one on campus. I think the Chinese and the Indian are the two biggest societies. So we have got students, from all over the world, but these two countries are the main ones. So when you're coming here, there's a lot of students that you can get to meet. I mean, a lot of the time as well, they help each other with finding jobs, for example, part-time jobs. So if somebody is working somewhere, they might recommend somebody or give them feedback. So I see a lot of students we've got WhatsApp groups before they come. So before you come, we're going to create a WhatsApp group and include you in there, and you can share ideas together. You might want to fly together as well. So some of them arrange flights together if they're from the same place.
On this part-time work, Margarita, I want to share this experience I received on WhatsApp this morning only. A brand new student from January intake, somewhere from South, I received a message on WhatsApp that he wanted to give somebody's reference for a part-time work. He's already applied for home assistant job on campus, and then he got so he was asking whose reference should I give, and he's in the UK in lockdown. And then I asked him to just simply post a message in WhatsApp group, and he can give his personal tutors contact, and he messaged in the WhatsApp group, and he's got references. So this these are some great helps you can have while associated with these societies.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of help that they can give to each other. I'm just going to share a photo here of the campus map. I know this doesn't really do it justice because it's just a printed kind of image, but I do have something else that I can share afterwards where I've got a 3D map, just to give you a bigger picture of how big the university is. So we have currently about 36 buildings. So it's quite a large campus, and I came here 10 years ago, and when I came to study here, half of the campus was not there. I'm sure when Anna came as well, it was a similar time. So half of the university was not there. So every year we were expanding our subject areas, we're expanding the campus. So it is growing really fast. Applied sciences is mainly, I don't know if you can see the cursor of my mouse, but it is approximately around here, this side here. This is a brand new building. Paul, I think Dr. Paul Elliott has shared this as well. So this is a brand new kind of building that they've built for optometry and applied sciences. So this area here is mostly for science. But this one here, so number 7, is where the library is. So this is where the Schwann building and the student central is. There's coffee shops in there. There's Starbucks coffee, Costa coffee. These are big national, I think international brands actually. I don't know if you have Starbucks in India, but there's a Starbucks coffee within the university. There is a gym as well. There's a lot of things happening in there. Some of the things as well include the Students' Union, where a lot of students hang out in. There's the career office as well, where we can help you find jobs. If you were looking for graduate jobs and graduate internships, you can also go and seek some help for there. It's worth it to mention as well that the UK government now has announced a new visa. So when you finish your studies, you may be able to apply for the 2-year, it's called the graduate visa route. So you can go for that for 2 years when you graduated. So this is for anybody graduating from this year onwards. So they haven't really put a time limit on it. We are waiting for the government to make the final announcement in the next couple of months, just to know exactly who can apply, how much it would cost, or what the time limit is exactly. So hopefully before you come, we will have all this information in hand for you. So you can go to the career center and ask for help to find a job. If you wanted to find it in the UK or go back to India, you can still use the career service online even after you leave, because you will be forever kind of an alumnus of Huddersfield. What we also have is a medical center. So we have a health center. Again, it's on the campus. So if you need help, if you need to go to a doctor, you can call in on the day and just say, I need to see somebody today, and they can book you an appointment. So you can go there. Let's have a look. So these are the programs that we have signed so far, the progression agreement that we have got with Lovely Professional University. So students doing chemistry or BTech in chemical engineering can come to these programs. So if you're doing chemistry, you can come to the top up. So you will do 2 years at LPU and come to your final year for your top up here in the UK. So you will only come for 1 year and get the degree here. The minimum for Ielts would be 6.5 with nothing lower than 6. Or some states in India, we do recognize standard 12 English. So you have to have that. I think it's over 65 or 70. I think Anna may be able to help with this as well because she knows all the states. And you have to pass, obviously, year 2 from LPU. So you have to get 60% and above. So those are the main 2 requirements that you would need. And then in terms of the BTech, you can come to chemical engineering, the bachelor's of engineering. So that will be 2 years in LPU, 2 years here in the UK. So you will come to year 2 and then go to year 3. But if you wanted to do a placement, you have the option. You need to let us know in advance so that we make sure that your visa has got 3 years instead of 2 years, and we can help you find a job. Again, the IELTS requirement is a little bit less. It's a little bit down from the chemistry one, so it's 6 with nothing lower than 5.5. Again, standard 12 is something that we would accept. You have to pass year 2 as well. So I don't know, Anna, if you've got any information about the standard 12, if you want to explain how it works.
Yes, I'm actually trying to paste something in the chat box because I have that handy and then I can read from there. But it's 1 second. So it's going to LPU Global Direct Message. Okay, it's not pasting, so I'll just read it. So what's it basically? In order to waive off IELTS, TOEFL, or PTE, like Margarita mentioned, we need these bands of IELTS in most of the courses. And but if you want to waive it off, what you would need is in your UG or PG, your 12th percentage should be 65%, but it should be within 5 years of gap. Otherwise, you need IELTS with 6 band and no band less than 5.5 individually, or you need TOEFL or PTE equivalent to that. And if you are, well, that's because most of the LPU students are going to come for a UG course for top up or for a transfer program. But if somebody is coming for a PG course, it's same as the requirement for any PG program. But if somebody is coming for PG with professional practice or placement, which is 18 months, then your 12th percentage requirement is not 65, then it's 70%. And the IELTS, otherwise, you need IELTS with 7 band, no band less than 6.5. But again, this all should be within 5 years of gap. Then and if somebody is coming for a health program, then the percentage in 12th English is again 70%, or IELTS with 6.5 band, no band less than 6, or TOEFL or PT individual. The gap rule does not apply with health courses. So even if you have more than 5 years of gap, that's fine. And also, if your 11th and 12th is from certain, there are certain state boards in India like Telangana, Gujarat, or a few other state boards, which are English medium, but it's not distinctively mentioned on your certificate, 12th certificate, that it's in the medium of instruction is in English. So in that case, if you want your this cell to be waived off, you also would need to submit medium of instruction letter. It's a normal one-page letter from your school that the medium of instruction was in English. And again, within 5 years of gap. One thing I specifically want to mention here is if there's any student who is a home student of Punjab or Haryana, then the deposit would be 100%, and the IELTS, TOEFL, or PTE is mandatory. The waive off rule does not apply to those students. And also, if somebody is from Punjab or Haryana state board, again, IELTS, TOEFL, and PTE mandatory, like I said. These two rules for Punjab and Haryana state boards is something, and for the Punjab and Haryana home students, is something not by the university, but it's because of the changing risks from the students over there and by the UKVI, so that the risk of visa refusal is minimized. So this is something I would say indirectly from UKVI. So the university is not somebody to blame for this. So that's all for now. But if there's any question regarding this, please ask me, and I will anyways share the entry requirement and the detailed entry requirement. I think I've already emailed this morning the detailed entry requirement to LPU people as well, and feel free to share it with your students.
Yeah, that's great. So we can share this presentation at the end, and we can share the details. So thanks very much, Anna. That's really useful. And again, we can get in touch with you if you're not sure what you need to do, what to submit. Don't worry. So I've kind of put it all together here just to kind of give everybody an explanation of if they wish to apply. At this stage, you can apply. If you haven't made your mind yet, if you're not sure, we can have further discussion. So there's nothing to pay to apply. It's free to apply at this stage just to get the offer. And then once you're ready, we can have a chat and see if you really want to come. So the tuition fee for the programs is £16,000, and that's per year. So if you're coming for the top up, you're only coming for 1 year. If you're coming for the if you're coming from the BTEC chemical engineering, then it's going to be 2 years that you will be in the UK. But you don't have to pay all the fees in advance. It's just a deposit for now. So the scholarships that we give, normally from students from India, we have a £2,000 scholarship, which is automatic for every year of the course, and then a £1,000 early payment scholarship. So that's for students who submit their deposits and all their details by, I think the deadline is sometime in June. But we will be confirming very soon, because we might have a £4,000 scholarship just for students from LPU. So we're just waiting for sign off for this. So we will be informing you about this one. So you might have 4,000. So if you do get the £4,000 scholarship, it means that the fee is actually £12,000. Which is similar with what the UK students would be paying, which is about 9,000 or 10,000. So it's very close to that. In terms of applying, these are the documents that you will need. And you will need to have your full contact details. So you will need to give us an email, your telephone, your address. This is what will go into your application on the portal when you apply, but you will not apply on your own. So just bear with me for a minute. Then you tell us your chosen course. So if you're doing chemistry, obviously we will put you straight into the chemistry top up, but you have to tell us which one you're already doing. So just give us your transcripts and certificates. So make sure you're giving us, if you have got your results yet, or when you do get your results this summer, you just have to share it with us. And I'd like to introduce as well Mr. Sudhir, who is our education partner, who will be making these applications on your behalf. So everything needs to be emailed to Mr. Sudhir, who is our education partner, like I said. So this year we have had actually 5 students from LPU going into computing and engineering programs, and they're all here. They have all settled very well now. And they're all in the UK. So Mr. Sudhir helped them to not only apply, but also the visas, because the visa to come to the UK could be a little bit complicated if you don't understand it. The specific requirements that you have to meet, you may be asked to give an interview with somebody online or on the phone. So you need to prepare for the type of questions that they will be asking you. Also, you need to have a specific amount of money in your bank account. So that's the living costs, but also the remaining tuition fee. So there's a lot of details. What we could do is maybe have a separate session like this for students who are interested, and we could go through everything with them and just explain the requirements. You could invite the parents as well if they need to. So I don't know if you want to say anything, Mr. Sudhir. If you want to, you're on mute at the moment, so you might want to mute. If you want to introduce yourself and just explain to the students how to get in touch or what they will need from your side.
Yes, no problem. Thank you for that, Margarita. I don't know if my voice is coming through.
Yes, we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. Basically, I need to know from the students if they are interested, first of all, and in what program. Once they do that, once they email me, then I can start the process. I can, guide them individually as to what their requirements are and what they need to provide in terms of evidence for academics as well as for the visa, and also for English, as Anna has just explained, the English language requirements. The whole process is quite lengthy. So the earlier they let us know, the earlier they start the process by approaching me, the better, because it takes about an average of 2 to 3 months, the whole process, especially if they have to do the Ielts test with the British Council, because the Ielts test takes, to get a date takes a few weeks, at least around a month or more. And to get the results from Ielts after that takes another few weeks. So that itself takes off about 1.5 to 2 months. So the other thing is, if they don't need to do Ielts, if they have more than the required percentage in their 12th standard, then the time lag becomes less. It becomes easier for them, quicker for them. But yeah, basically 2 to 3 months is a good time to start. So the sooner I get the information from them, the better.
And also, I'd like to add here, the deadlines are going to be way earlier compared to last year, this year, because of the bulk and the rush of applications all the UK universities are experiencing and going to experience due to that immigration, 2 years immigration route, visa rule.
Yeah, so if we kind of give them a timeline, I think between March and April, they need to send the applications in. Between May and June, they need to start thinking about, I have to do my Ielts now, or before that, if you can, I have to get, I have to make sure that I have enough money in my account to meet my conditions, but also to pay to apply for the visa. So in the summer, around June time, you need to apply for your visa, June, July time. And then you need to start thinking in August, the pre-arrival. So my flights, booking accommodation, so that in September you come in time. Hopefully you will not have to quarantine at that point. I don't know how the situation will be, but hopefully those regulations change. Yeah, I hope things will be better, because this year students didn't have to do it up until this point now in the last couple of months. So yeah, let's maybe have another session with those who are interested, or if you want to send us a list or email Mr. Sudhir directly, that's fine. So yeah, thanks very much. I think we've tried to cover everything. I don't know if Himani, if you've got any questions about the process.
Yeah, thank you so much, Miss Margarita, Miss Enna, and Mr. Sudhir. I, as of now, have only one question, but I would like to give opportunity to the students to ask their question. If they ask, then I will be saved. Otherwise, I have one question, which definitely I'm going to ask. Thank you so much for your informative session. I would request our students to ask questions. Students, I would request you to please unmute yourself and ask questions. Since we have all the dignitaries as of now here with us, they will be able to help you better than all of us for sure. Any student who would like to ask any question, they can mute themselves or they can type in the chat box, whichever ways you are comfortable with. But I would request to unmute and speak one at a time. Anyone has any questions? Students, it's a request that you got opportunity to ask questions from the dignitaries themselves. So it will be good if you can ask question yourself. Looks like no. Anyone? Looks like they are crystal clear. Whatever you guys have explained, that was really wonderful. Okay, yeah, just one second.
And I just have one question over here. Like last year, what happened with the international students that they could not reach up to the Canada or in the US universities, so they decided upon to take up the classes from their hometown through online mode. If such situation comes in, what will be the fate of students? So still we are not sure about the COVID situation, how that will go. Under that condition, what will be the fate of students?
So, I mean, at the moment, I don't know if, yeah, you might want to go ahead, Paul. You might want to say from the school's perspective. I was going to say from the international office perspective.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know about international movement of people. One might imagine that there may be, say, the quarantine on arrival that we've been having recently, and that may continue. The UK's vaccination program is running at a very, very high level, and all adults in the UK should receive their first vaccination by July and August. So it is the current plan of the UK government to ease lockdown restrictions in a very steady and very controlled manner by the summer. And we would hope that we would be close to normal in our operation next academic year. That being said, we're being very cautious, and we're not trying to kind of pin our hopes too much on that, just in case things that we can't foresee come up and change things. But we have put an enormous amount of effort amongst our staff into our online education. And if it is required that next academic year has to start at the very least with some online education, then I think it will be a similar approach to what we were doing this year. But this year the peak has been right in the middle of the academic year, so it's affected a lot more of it. We would hope that beyond the summer we will be a lot closer to normal. So if we have to teach online, we will teach online, but we have high hopes that we won't have to. I'm not sure if that answers your question, because one can't say what's going to happen in the future. I don't know if Margarita's got anything that she wants to add, or Anna wants to add, or even Grant.
Yeah, I was going to mention that this year, in what happened in September, was that we have allowed students to do online until they come here, and the situation was a lot better at that time, because in the summer, you know, the cases were very low. So there was a blended kind of learning. So students would do half online, half on campus, depending on the courses as well and the modules. So it was only, I think, after just before Christmas that we kind of did everything online. And at the moment also, the government has announced that the health or science courses would be going back at some point, and they would be the first ones to open. So in September, we're hoping that the students will be on the campus. And that's why we want to make sure that now they get the visas in time, they apply in time, because we don't want them to come late. We don't want them to be late for getting the visa, because there will be a huge amount of students coming to the UK this year. They're predicting big numbers from India. So if you get your visas in time, your flights, hopefully you will not have to quarantine, and hopefully you will start on campus. But if students can't come this year, I don't know if they would prefer maybe to defer or postpone. So we can look at the situation maybe closer to the time. But yeah, at the moment we are going ahead as normal for September. This year the university was open, you know, and the library is open as well, so students can book to go in. And I know for health courses they have to be on the campus. So I don't know if for applied sciences, I think your labs are still open for some courses. I think the university is still operating for some of these programs, and we do have in place a lot of different policies on what to do. Wear a mask when you're inside, the 2-meter distance, this cleaning happening after every single lecture and after every single lab. So the cleaners go in and clean everything. So there's a lot of things that we're doing from our side. So yeah, I hope that answers the questions. I don't know if anybody would like to add anything.
Yes, please. I would like to add something. The government of UK has laid out a roadmap for back to normal, and they expect the normal living in the UK to resume from 21st of June. So hopefully after 21st of June, there should be no problem. But, you know, as Margarita says, we can't predict the future, but, you know, this is the plan of the government, and the people are, of course, delighted with it, and everybody is going to be vaccinated by then. So hopefully there will be no COVID, at least not as dangerous as it has been.
Yeah, it would be definitely different from what was last year with the vaccine coming out. I mean, the fact that everybody will have it by the summer is really positive. And I'm hoping that students also will be able to apply for a vaccine when they come, because they will be here in the UK. So I think they might be able to do that. So yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see. But they do have very strict plans and very strict policies at the moment to make sure that in June we will be operating as normal here in the UK.
If I can just comment about our chemical engineering delivery. So my expectation next year is it's very unlikely that we'll be off campus for the entire year the way that we were this year. But even if we were, actually, we are very capable of delivering this material. It's very helpful if we can have students in for labs from time to time. And it's much more pleasant teaching students face-to-face and so on. Nevertheless, this year it has actually worked extremely well, and I have been lecturing all year from this very sofa to my students, and it's just gone very well. So personally, and with respect to chemical engineering, I am very confident that whatever happens over the next academic year, our delivery will not be disrupted, and if there's any COVID issues, we can still manage them. I think that is also true for chemistry, although chemistry has slightly more labs than we do, and so the logistics of managing lab classes is a little bit more challenging. But even so, as a whole, as a school and as a university, actually we have been delivering remote teaching extremely efficiently and extremely effectively. So personally, I am quite confident that we can cope with whatever happens in the next academic year.
I think the summary message from that is then that we're very optimistic that with the very controlled return to normality that we should be back to normal for the next academic year in September. But we have an enormous set of procedures and preparations in place to cope if not.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. We have questions from students in the in our chat box, so I'll ask one by one on their behalf. Students, still it's a request. Please unmute yourself and ask the questions directly. That would be great. Okay, so first question we have from Aftab Ahmed. He's asking, is there any other criteria for getting extra scholarship, or this is all what they are going to get for the scholarship?
Yeah, these are the scholarships so far. We haven't got any more. I mean, because this is also the first year, maybe we could do something for next year. But for this year, these are the scholarships that we have. Hopefully, we will sign the £4,000 scholarship soon. So that will be the maximum that students can get. And then, yeah, this is the only one that they can get. There's not any further.
Next question is asked by another student, Harsh. Yeah, he is asking that English language course exam is exempted in any condition, or no, they'll have to give any one of these English language exam for the admissions.
So we have explained it before that if they have got standard 12, if they've done English and they have got a certain level, so I think it's over 70% in standard 12. If they're from specific boards, which we will need to check each student individually, we would be accepting that English language. So we would be accepting that. If they haven't met the requirement, or if they're not from the specific boards that we accept, they will need to do the Ielts. So what I suggest is, if they do want to apply now, we will look at each person individually and let them know, is it a yes, is it a no, do they need IELTS or not? So it would depend on what the students will have.
Next question is from Priyanka. She's asking that, is there any placement, campus placement facility, or is it networking which you provide for the placements for the students?
Yeah, so it is a working placement. So it is a 1 year placement where they go out in the industry. They go anywhere in the world. We have got students who have gone abroad. They can work in the UK. Certainly, I don't know if Professor Paul Elliott would like to say a bit more about that from the school point of view, if you've got any sort of experiences with the placements.
I mean, it's important to point out, though, that because the placement would be you study year 1, year 2, then if you want to do placement, you do it in year 3, then you do final year, that the placement is possible if you come for 2+2 chemical engineering, because you enter year 2, you'd be able to do placement and then come back for final year. But if you do the chemistry top-up, you're coming for the final year, so you're coming after the point that placements are available. But as you mentioned in your talk, the UK government has set up the graduate route for stay back for post-study work. So that's a really good thing that the government has put in place, and we are looking forward as a university to full details of the regulations for that from the government to be announced. But yes, our students can go on placement. Courses have placement tutors who help the students with the process. That starts early, so the academic year begins in September, and the placement process will start in, say, September, October, trying to get students thinking about it in the September or October of their second year, for the July of at the end of that academic year. And then the university centrally has a job shop and careers an employability service, and they facilitate the advertising of various placement opportunities from companies to the student population. And there are also various other national schemes outside of the university where those placement opportunities are mentioned. Where we are in Huddersfield, there's quite a few local industries, chemical sciences and engineering related companies in the local area. And the major highway, the M62, that crosses from coast to coast straight past Huddersfield, there's a large industry concentration along that corridor. And so there are lots of placement opportunities in the local area, as well as nationally and internationally, as Margarita has said, from large multinational corporations to small, medium enterprises. In pharmaceuticals, I've visited students who are working for ink manufacturers, for smart inks, high technology inks, as well as analytical services. I don't know if Grant wants to say anything about the kind of placements that some of his students go on, but again, we have links with lots of various large scale to small scale industries around the country.
Yeah, just to pick up on a part of the question, do we provide help? Yes, within the School of Applied Sciences, there's a general administrator who is specifically involved in helping students arrange placements, and who manages that process, and who manages the networking with companies. And we have a specific chemical engineering academic who is responsible for helping our chemical engineering students. And it is just an extremely valuable part of the experience. We, as academics, go and visit our students in placement. If they're in the UK, we haven't had the experience of them being around the world, and we don't go and visit them if they're in other countries, as far as I'm aware. But within the UK, we go and visit them, and they always have a great time and are highly valued by the employers. The employers are just impressed with how capable they are. They give them proper jobs to do, and the students make a genuine contribution and get paid a proper salary. I personally always ask our placement students, are we teaching you the right things? The things that we've taught you in the first couple of years of the program, are you using those when you go out into industry? Are they valuable things? And they always say, yes, yes. The stuff that you're teaching us, I'm making use of, and it has encouraged me that, you know, I can see why you teach us these things, and it's enthused me for when I come back for my final year. And so those students come back enthused about the relevance of what they're learning, and they also bring that knowledge back to the rest of the class. So even the students who don't go out into industry benefit from the fact that other students in their class have had that experience, and that helps with group work for the design project. It also helps with the general culture of just understanding the connection between university education and what they will go on and do in their careers. And they certainly go to a wide variety of companies, although just to name names would not mean very much to you, but even so, I know that our students have gone to Total Oil, to Tata Steel, to Bosch, Thornton, but that's not such a well-known name, British Glass, one of my students went to, and so on. So a nice variety. It's a very valuable part of the offering.
What I would kind of add to that, beyond the school, in terms of the central university's help, the international office is on level 4, which is ground level because it's on the side of a hill. So you actually go in on the 4th floor. You go in at the beginning of your registration to get yourself inducted into the university, get your campus ID card from the international office. Right the other side of the wall is the Careers and Employability Service. So I would recommend to any student who was coming internationally to the university, after you've gone to get yourself enrolled, got your campus ID card, go around the corner and go and talk to the Careers and Employability Service straight away and start that process straight away. So work placements would be available to those progressing on a 2+2 to chemical engineering, but not to those who are going into their final year and then after the placement time into chemistry. But there's stay back options that are coming. And so in order to prepare for that, starting early, working with the Careers and Employability Service, making use of all of the various workshops that they do, fake interview practices, CV writing development, cover letter writing development workshops, all of the services and the classes that the Careers Service run, take absolute full advantage of them from the very first day that you're in the university. There's no point coming to the university, getting to the day of your final exam and then thinking, I think I'm going to go to talk to the Career Service now. Use the whole year as preparation.
Okay, thank you, Professor Paul. I have one question to Margarita. Is there any something for master's students also? 1+1 program for Masters of Chemistry?
Yeah, so we don't have a 1+1. It would be the master's programs in the UK are 1 year anyway, so they wouldn't be 1+1. So I don't know if Grant or Paul, if you want to mention the masters that you have in your department, the kind of progressions that once they do the bachelor's or the top up, they can then go into that straight after that.
Yeah, I did think about masters and thought afterwards, after I'd finished my presentation, I probably should have stuck in a slide on potential masters. But as you say, we don't have the kind of 1+1 kind of progressions, but there's nothing to stop a student applying to any of our programs. So if I just share the screen, we have a strong emphasis on analytical science, which stems from our interactions with industry over many years and decades. And so our longest serving set of MSCs are in analytical chemistry. We have a biologically related analytical science MSc and a pharmaceutical and analytical science MSc. And these are strong international recruiting courses We had 26 students come in the January intake to join an equal number also from the September cohort who joined us. We'll just be having a September cohort next year for this program, however. But we have other programs that are available. There's a biomedical and analytical science program. I can investigate whether that's would be open to chemical sciences related graduates, but it definitely takes biological science graduates. We have some mixed degrees in with the business school, the business strategy mixed with pharmaceutical formulation and drug discovery. Now, for the pharmaceutical formulation, you do need to have a pharmacy degree or a pharmaceutical sciences degree, but the drug discovery program is more open to people with both pharmacy degrees, but chemistry and biology-based degree programs. So the pharmaceutical formulation is drug discovery. They're supposed to give students the scientific skills as well as the business skills to engage with the drug development pathway, right from initial drug discovery, where you have lots of chemists and biologists working together, to the middle of the middle and towards the end of the drug development pathway, pharmaceutical formulation, which that's why that bit requires the pharmacy degree, because it requires those that previous experience in pharmaceutical formulation. Thank you for whoever's adding to my slides. It's very pretty. And so those are available. This one down the bottom is very much just a pharmacy. You do have to be a clinical and registered pharmacy program. But if students are interested in research, we also have 1-year masters by research and our 3-year PhD programs, and that's across all subject areas in chemical engineering and chemistry, as well as into biology and pharmacy.
Thank you so much, Paul, for insights about different courses available at your university. I would like to say thank you to all dignitaries, guests, delegates. With great joy and immense happiness that we have come to an end. We are going to meet, looking forward for more interaction from your side regarding the same. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you very much. I hope when travel allows, we will be able to visit LPU ourselves. I know Grant's voiced a strong interest in coming for a trip.
Definitely looking forward to have you in our campus. Yeah.
Thank you very much for having us. It's been a pleasure to talk to you all today.
Likewise. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Himani.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you for the organization today. It's been lovely.
Thank you so much.